And for me, she was that thing. She was my Tarzan. She was that thing that made me want to be here and want to wash my hair in the stream, which never happened, by the way. Hi everybody, my name is Ella Harari, the Wandering Goddess, and I'm traveling around East Africa and sharing the tribal wisdom that I collect and receive from different tribal communities here. And really collecting for us this lost indigenous knowledge about life, about humanity, about being human, from the generosity of these ancient tribes that live here in East Africa and really open their hearts and tell me their stories and are really so willing to share with us their wisdom. So the wisdom of humanity, but us Westerns forgot about it, or it was forgotten from us deliberately. So today I want to share my Jane Goodall story, because different people have different Jane Goodall stories, or maybe not that different. But I'm sure we all heard that Jane Goodall passed away lately after a very full life and very dedicated not only to the chimpanzees but also to us, to the humankind, and to spread hope that we can still change what's going on in this very, very crazy world of ours and make a difference. And I'm going to put a link to a really, really nice documentary about her from the National Geographic. And so my Jane Goodall story starts when I was a teenager. I've been dreaming about Africa since I was a girl. But when I was a teenager, I watched a documentary about her on TV. So that was the 80s. It was a black and white documentary. And all I could remember from it, that I want to live like she does. I want to live there. I don't care what I'm going to do in Africa. I want to live in the forest next to the river. And this image of her washing her hair in the stream, I want to do that. I want to wash my hair in the stream in Africa. So that was my dream. And it really stayed with me all those years. So it's like my childhood dreams and then Jane Goodall. And I really put a lot of thought about how am I going to do it? How am I going to live in Africa? So first I was going to study zoology and be like a zoologist like Jane Goodall, and then I decided to study social anthropology because I was thinking, I'm really, really interested in the tribes, in the people, to learn more about them. And I graduated from my BA, and then my intuition started to steer. You know, I was already thinking about, I'm going to do my master's and I'm going to do it in the US. But then my intuition said, no, first I'm going to go to Africa. So I took a year off. I was 26 and my life took a completely different path because I listened to my intuition and I came to Africa first before I continue studying and making a whole career and then coming to Africa. No, it didn't feel right to me. And really just a few weeks after I arrived, I realized I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not an academic. It's not what I meant. It's not what I wanted. It's just that I didn't have any words to this really strong pull that I felt towards the African continent and East Africa especially. That's something I realized years later. It took me a while. So if you're following me, then you know that I've been passing on this ancient wisdom that I'm collecting, that I'm experiencing just from living with different communities in East Africa and listening to their stories and their wisdom, which most of the time it's not about sitting down and listening to very deep wisdom. It's just living with them and seeing how much more tuned in to nature, how much more tuned in to community they are, and how much more, I think, peaceful and happy they are a lot of the time. So it really influenced my life, and I passed it on. So I've been passing it on since that first big journey when I realized I'm not going to be an academic, and I just continued traveling for a whole year around East Africa, and changed so much during that time, and then went back to Israel to pass forward what I felt, what I was experiencing. I went into shamanism, which is a lot about the wisdom of community, about the tribal way of life around the world. And this was my life for 20 years. I was facilitating workshops to women and girls, teaching or sharing about womanhood, about the womanhood that I discovered here, that is so different from the Western idea of what a woman is, because we don't know, because it's been taken from us. And indigenous women still live their power very, very naturally. I know it's very different from what we're told about African women, but I owe them my womanhood. I owe them my life. And I was telling stories, tribal stories to children. This is what I've been doing for 20 years, passing on indigenous wisdom in different ways. And then when COVID, or the story of COVID, hit our lives all around the world, I felt like this was the time for me to come back to my mother Africa, Mama Africa. Of course, I came to visit, but I felt like I want to come at least for a year, to do a journey, a deep journey again, because I felt like everything I've been given was amazing, and I was so fulfilled, and I was making a difference in the world. I was making a difference in the lives of the women and the children that have been coming to my workshops and story time and all that. But I felt I have another journey to make. Another journey is waiting for me. And again, I listened to my intuition, and I think I listened to the whispers of Mama Africa and the whispers of the ancestors of Africa, who are also our ancestors, because humanity started here in East Africa. So here I am now. I'm 54. It's been a really amazing almost 30 years, and over 30 years from my first time to come to East Africa. And Jane Goodall passed away, so all kinds of documentaries are now more available, and it's everywhere, and I've been listening and watching, and the most amazing thing happened. She was telling her story about her childhood and her growing up and her inspiration to come to Africa. And she's saying that when the books and movies of Tarzan started showing, she completely had a crush on Tarzan, and she was kind of pissed about why did he choose the wrong Jane, because that Jane was weak and needed his help all the time and was afraid of the jungle. But her, Jane Goodall, wasn't afraid, and she would have been the best partner for Tarzan. And that really stuck with her, and that was part of her inspiration to come here. And then also in another instant, I was hearing her saying that she had the Dr. Dolittle book, and there was a picture, a drawing in the book of the monkeys making a bridge of monkeys holding each other so he can pass or whatever. I didn't read the book. And that picture she went back to, even as an old woman, and said, wow, this is the dream, this is the inspiration to come to Africa. And all she knew was that she wants to come to Africa. She didn't know how she's going to do it. She learned how to be a secretary. She wasn't even in the university. And she worked really hard, and she saved money to come to Africa. And then she got the really amazing opportunity from Dr. Leakey, that he was looking for a woman researcher to come to Gombe to research the chimpanzees. So it's not like even she didn't especially thought about coming for the chimpanzees. It was that dream, and Tarzan and Dr. Dolittle with a picture of the monkeys and wanting to come. And for me, she was that thing. She was my Tarzan. She was that thing that made me want to be here and want to wash my hair in the stream, which never happened, by the way. I did wash my hair in lots of bucket showers, but in very distant and remote areas, and had lots of adventures, but I've never washed my hair in the river. And I haven't been to Gombe yet, but she was that thing for me. She was my inspiration. And another really amazing thing is that going back earlier in my childhood, then at home we had this beautiful, beautiful book called something like The Most Wonderful Legends in the World. So it was different folk tales, very beautiful, and it was illustrated so beautifully. And of course, the story that caught my eye was the story about the Sudanese prince and his very, very brave wife, beautiful princess. And they were both really tall and slender, like the South Sudanese are, and very beautiful and very, very dark, almost really black, like South Sudanese are. And of course, I fell in love with that picture of a prince. And it was like really part of this pull or this feeling that I want to be here. I don't know anything else. It took me years to discover which career I'm going to go for. And in the end, it was just a step to what I really do here, because academy is not talking about ancient wisdom and how we can adapt or remember and take it back into our human Western life. But also wonderful, very wonderful, is that Jane Goodall did it. She was a scientist. In the end, she was a scientist. After her first period in Gombe with the chimpanzees, documenting them, using tools and changing the whole way people looked at chimpanzees, because of course we need to believe that animals are not like us and we are superior, and the whole Western mindset is standing on that. So she changed all that. And when she was around my age, when she was around really 50-something, something changed in her. And she said, I was really going to just spend all my days in Gombe. I was so happy with the chimpanzees. But when she was made aware of their situation, these animals that she loved so much, and that they really need her help, then she changed her course of life and became the activist and started her institute and done such amazing things in the world. Talked to leaders and she managed to secure Gombe as a national park, protected, and she was the initiator and took a very big part in ending chimpanzee being locked at labs in the US. So she done such great things while being a scientist. And she was talking about the chimpanzees. She gave them names. They were her friend. So she was still loyal to that girl, that little girl that loved animals and really wanted to come to Africa. She talked a lot about the future of humanity being the connecting the head, the brain, our very, very glorified brain, with the heart. And really, for me, I didn't feel I can do any of that in the academy. I felt this was not my way. But in a way, everything I learned here and all the inspiration I gather here is exactly that, about going back to the heart, because the science and the very mechanical thinking of the Western brain or in the Western society is destroying the world, because the world is not matter. It's not just matter. We're destroying it. We're destroying our mother. We are killing our mother, which is really horrible. And maybe to end it nicely, because I just watched this National Geographic documentary today about Jane Goodall, a boy, a Tanzanian boy, said to her at some gathering of her institute, I don't want to get into that, but just really watch the video, the documentary. It's amazing. So he said, "You are Mother Earth. You are Mother Earth." He said that to Jane Goodall.
I want to make sure that you all understand that each and every one of you has a role to play. You may not know it, you may not find it, but your life matters, and you are here for a reason.